As the more you learn to love yourself, the less things you'll start to tolerate and what you get yourself involved in. And I think that's part of evolution. I believe that's part of growing. And certain things that were once good, that you felt was good for you 2 years ago, a month ago, or a year ago, whatever, might not be good for you today.
Roll me, Mac.
How do you obtain and maintain peace in your life? Well, I tend to just focus on me. And by focusing on me, focusing on what's in my control. Measuring energy that I'm around. If it's in my control to not be around what I deem to be negative energy for me, I'm going to remove myself, or I'm just not going to be involved with it at all. If it's a situation like I'm not able to get out of it, then I focus on my responses to said people projecting, you know what I mean? And do my best to kind of I'll stay with it for as long as I can, and then I got to get the hell up out of there because it's draining. And then I like to get somewhere alone to kind of recharge my brain, or be around people that give that energy, that charging energy, because we all know that we've been around people where we felt like they gave life, and we've been around people that feel like they trying to drain you to damn death. And for me, it's like I want to stay in the most effective mood for what I have to do for the day. That's really what it's all about. It's nothing personal. It's just like, all right, man, I have a lot of tasks that I have set for myself, and if I'm going to be around this, I'm not going to feel like doing that shit. So I like to obtain peace that way, by just being around people that are considered to be sails and not anchors. And you'll know who they are. You'll feel that. You'll know how you feel when you leave their presence, and just stay the hell away from them for as long as you live. If you can help it, man. It's not personal, but they're battling something, and they're just projecting it. And I believe they want the whole world to feel what they feel, in the sense of making themselves feel better. And that I'm okay with that. And I even myself can get in moods where I'm not in the best of them, but I deal with it. I do my best to deal with it on the inside, just to self, and not be around people and then just spew out constant negative shit, constantly just being negative for what I'm saying, no reason at all. It's not fun to. It's not ideal to be around. Yeah, people are human, but you also have to be very mindful what you say out of your mouth too. And you can have thoughts It's all right to have thoughts, but just understand that you're not those thoughts. And when you decide to spew out those thoughts, then that's where you're held accountable. I mean, we can think some of the most vile shit in our minds, but as long as we don't say it out loud, the world wouldn't know. But when you decide to say the first thing that comes to your mind, you know, you got to deal with the consequences of what comes out of your mouth. You know what I'm saying? It's freedom of speech. Don't get me wrong. We live in a country that does have freedom of speech, but freedom of speech does not come without consequences for any of us, or whatever we choose to say. So be willing to die on that hill with what you say. But what do I do to obtain peace? I like to be in nature, for sure. One spot in particular, that's it, just a beach. And a quiet beach, not a loud tourist beach, but a beach that just doesn't have anyone there for the most part. Maybe some old lady walking her dog, her and her husband walking the dog, or, you know, whatever, whoever's, you know, just not, as long as it's not like, yeah, it's not like South Beach. You know, South Beach, Daytona Beach, I imagine they stay pretty packed throughout the year. But in the sense of just being at a beach where it's just like a few people, maybe under 20 people out there versus hundreds, it's something, it's peaceful, man. And ain't nobody fucking with you. You just, for me, I just sit there, let the ocean take it all away. That's really how I maintain the peace. That's how I obtain the peace. I'm very mindful of who I spend my time with. And I don't have time to waste time. So I try to maximize my time with people that I believe give value to my life. And constantly in observation whether or not that I am getting that value, or if I'm starting to feel drained or something like that. And I said it's nothing personal, it's just there's goals to be had, and it's going to take encouraging spirits in order to get those. You know, there's some people that are just okay with being negative, living in negative. They don't even, truth be told, some of them don't even realize they're negative. They think they're being real or what have you. But to have those encouraging people in your life makes a world of difference, man. It makes a world of difference. Like people that don't shoot down your ideas, people that don't shoot down your, you know, any dreams you may have, any goals you might want to obtain for yourself, you know. And obtaining that peace, just sitting there, taking in life, obtaining peace, you know, sitting in silence. A lot of ways, a lot of times is how I get peace. Being able to sit in silence, sitting with my own thoughts, and that's a gift and a curse, because there are days where I'm a lot harder on myself than others. There are days where I'm my biggest cheerleader. There's days when I'm my biggest critic. I like to find days when I'm thoughtless, and that's a way to obtain peace, is to become thoughtless and not become the inner critic, not in any way, positive or negative, and just sit, really just sit with your thoughts and not get attached to them. Just let them pass through, and get out of the mindset that you have to be responsible for someone. I know a lot for me, because of my upbringing and all that stuff, it's like wanting to feel like you were useful in order to feel loved and shit. And you don't have to do anything. You know, you're not responsible for anybody. You're not responsible for anybody's version of you in their mind either. We have a tendency to run away with the idea of people a lot of times in our life, and then they do something that don't go according to our script, and then we get pissed off at them. But it's just remembering that people are people. People have their own minds, and they have the right to do exactly what they want to do, and not so much what you want them to do. But you also have the right to decide where you want to place them in your life based on what they do. And that's something for us all to kind of digest, for us to all keep in mind, to place people exactly where you want them to be based on what they've shown you. Not on potential, but based on what they've shown you. And decide if it's healthy for you, if it's not healthy for you. And we have a tendency to keep around toxic people that, you know, behaviors that are toxic for us and others. because we ourselves are toxic. I mean, the people around us are just a mirror of us. They're a reflection of us in some kind of way, and there's no getting around it. So when you get upset with someone, you're getting upset with yourself, and it's like doing a real good analyzing of your behavior and where you are the part of the problem, where you are with your toxicity. That's another way to obtain peace, is like really just checking yourself, keeping yourself in check in a sense of where you are, the things that you're allowing to go down, how well do you love yourself. As the more you learn to love yourself, the less things you'll start to tolerate and what you get yourself involved in. And I think that's part of evolution. I believe that's part of growing. And certain things that were once good, that you felt was good for you 2 years ago, a month ago, or a year ago, whatever, might not be good for you today. And it can happen in a blink of an eye. And it's not personal. It's just recognizing, like, all right, how does this benefit me now based on the growth in which I'm doing? Because I'm not going to be able to do the same thing, like staying in the same place and looking for change at the same time. That's not going to happen. That's a contrast of ideas there. But when you decide that, you're going to make changes to yourself, sacrifices are going to happen. It's going to come with cost. When you try to better yourself, when you try to ascend in life, it comes at a cost. It very well may cost you people that you've been around for a while. It may cost you jobs that you've been at for a while. It may cost you a lifestyle that you've been doing for a while. It may cost you cars that you once had, or what have you, clothes, whatever it is, it's going to cost you. And peace comes at a cost too, and you must protect it with your life. And that's what I try to do. I try to protect my peace to the best of my ability. And in the sense of, I do my best to not project my insecurities onto others. Really try to not project my insecurities onto others. I do my best to not make them responsible for anything that I have going on. But also being a listening ear. But being a listening ear doesn't mean I'm going to fix it. But I can listen and let you bounce your own ideas, because sometimes you just need to get that out. That's why I recommend therapy for all of us. But always talking to the men, especially black men. Therapy is a great place to balance and bounce your thoughts, so you can see what the hell you sound like in your head to somebody else, and they can let you know, all right, you nutty, you nutty squirrel shit, you crazy than a roach, or no, you actually got something going there. You know what I mean? And I believe that's something for us to take into consideration as far as like obtaining peace, is finding peace within, for one, being able to be okay in chaos, but also being able to remove yourself, if you can, be away from the chaos. And those things truly do matter. And obtaining peace is really just becoming one with yourself, becoming more focused on where you lie in the problem, where your contribution to your present situation. How much of the past are you living in? How much of the future are you trying to prevent? How often do you live in the present moment? All these things that I keep in mind as I'm trying to obtain peace, maintain peace. But I believe that I obtain peace by going to nature and getting a reset, protecting, my energy, who I'm around, the type of energy that I'm around, and just recognizing that energy, and being around people that produce energy that is conducive for being effective in life. But maintaining peace, maintain peace by minding the fucks you give, and really just watching who you spend your time with. Do you believe in having separate interests in a relationship? Yeah, for sure. I believe opposites attract. And what's big for me is that I don't have like this you don't have to fit the mold type thing. Only thing that I guess would be a mold is for you to be feminine. That's it, man. Because it's more about the science of it all. That's what keeps the attraction. Because me operating in my masculine and you operating in your masculine it's going to kill attraction. Eventually it's going to kill attraction. Initially we might have the physical attraction, but over time, the constant clashing and stuff like that is going to get old. It's going to start pulling at each other. You're going to want to kill me, I'm going to want to kill you, figuratively speaking, not literally. But yeah, separate interests, being able to be your own person, to have your own individual things that you're into, without it being dismissed, without anybody trying to tear it down, because understanding that a person's interest has nothing to do with you. It doesn't change, it doesn't make you any less cool, it doesn't make you any more cool or anything like that. It's really just about that person and what they're into. And as long as it's not projected onto me, by all means, like what you like, love what you love, whatever movies that you're into, rock out. Whatever songs you like to play, even if it's the same song that you play 20 times. I mean, anybody who knows me, that's around me, has probably heard Human Nature more than once. That's like, for me, that's my one. There's a few others, but that's my favorite. That's the favorite song I've ever heard in my life. But having your own interests, like I might be into art, you might be into poetry. Yeah, they're in the same realm and stuff. You might be into crime shows. I might be into wrestling, and or horror movies and gore movies, thanks to Art the Clown. But there's different things, and that's the beauty of it. It's just having something to have a conversation about, and you don't necessarily have to agree on the same shit. That's another thing, is that I think that's the beautiful thing about being human, is that we can have our own ideas, we can have our own interests, we can have our own mindsets, we can have our own opinions, and it's not about right and wrong. And once you remove that, everything becomes interesting when you're in conversation with people and you don't make it about right and wrong, and you just listen to a perspective and hear something that, yeah, you might have thought the same thing, but you might not have looked at it the same way that they did. And I think that's pretty dope. That's what I love about just the differences of opinions that we have as people, as humans, where we can just have our conversations, we can talk, we can listen, and what would help us even more is to not dismiss. And because we don't agree with it, be like saying that, that shirt is ugly. Yeah, to me, but not to you. And it's not about me. So, but if a person asks your opinion on something, I'm gonna give my honest opinion based on my perspective, but you still might be into it. I'm not going to not love you because you wanted to wear that color shirt or something like that. That's just how I see it. There's no need to be a character. There's a need to have character. There's not a need to be a character. And it's just all about how you carry yourself. You can do whatever, you be whatever you're into. There's a lot of things that I used to do because I tried to fit in that I recognize about myself that I no longer include. Like playing predominantly hip hop, that was trying to fit in. Don't get me wrong, I still listen. Of course, I still listen to stuff. More so some of the stuff that we kind of grew up on that just brings back a lot of memories that I actually like, not songs that I was just listening to so that I could hang with this person, but songs that I actually I'm into. And I love not being able to put me into a box, and I wouldn't want to put anybody else into a box either. To find out what are the things that you're into, to know that a person can listen to classical, watch The Office, be into crime shows, actually like watching basketball or football, be into cooking shows, look at roast videos on YouTube, pimple popping or shit coming out of ears, and just different, just figuring out what people are into without having a judgment for it, being indifferent. It's like, yo, wow, they're into that. They like to watch lions fuck on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? And wow, they just randomly like to watch that shit. Okay, can be indifferent. It might be funny, but you could be indifferent about it. There's no need to judge anyone in the sense of like looking down on them or looking up at them. It's just things that they're into, and I believe that's something I value, is being able to recognize what a person has interest in. Like, yeah, music-wise, play what you play. You know, if it's something I'm interested in, you know, I'll groove to it. If it's something I'm not interested in, I can have no opinion on it. I just don't want to be that person that gets in somebody's car and be like, man, what the fuck are we listening to? Dismissive, in my opinion. To me, that's dismissive. I loathe some of the hip-hop songs, you know, the style of hip-hop that's out. Like if I'm around like my daughter or somebody her age group and they playing that shit, and even younger, that's their thing. Because we had our time to listen to music that we were into, and you know, we got older. Some of us evolved, some of us stayed dressing that way. Some things are more, you know, you're still more attached to them than you once were. You know, I definitely don't dress the way that I used to in high school for a lot of reasons. These shirts actually fit. Before in high school, we used to wear 3X, 4X tees, and I was all of maybe 112 pounds soaking wet. So you can imagine what that looked like. And this is long before the Snap movement, franchise boys, all of that. We were just wearing big clothes, you know, baggy clothes was like the thing to wear. We just knew it was cool. Some of the pictures we did look pretty cool, not gonna lie. But good times. But as far as separate interests, you know, relationships and stuff, I'm all for it. I definitely welcome anyone that welcoming someone that had different interests than me and just learning them. And that's really what it's all about. I believe it's really about, in our relationships, family, friends, whatever, intimate, work relationships, is finding out what they're into, learning how to love them, and letting them have the freedom and the courage to be themselves. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm all for separate interests and relationships.
What would I like to eat all day without sharing? A large cheese pizza from like a New York-based pizzeria. Something I probably wouldn't want to share. Yeah, a large cheese pizza from, you know, like a thin crust, New York style based thing that like the cheese is like, if it's anything like what I saw in the beginning of Ninja Turtles 2, that's what made me want cheese pizza. The first 20 seconds of Ninja Turtles 2, and for those who know, you know, but for those who don't, be sure to YouTube Ninja Turtles 2 to see how everybody's cheese was stringing and shit when they were eating the slices, and guys at the light, guys on the you know, on the horse and carriage, they were, the cheese pizza just looked amazing. So I mean, everything else, I would say beforehand, before my diet switch, cheeseburger macaroni, did not want to share. Lobster and shrimp linguine from Bahama Breeze, didn't want to share. Stuffed crust, probably wouldn't want to share. Seafood Alfredo, wouldn't want to share from Olive Garden. But I don't know. I guess I'm in a different place in life. But don't fuck with my cheese pizza from the New York-based pizzeria. I got to have it. What emotions do you hide the most? The emotions that I hide the most would be anger. Anger's one of them, right? Anger, because I don't believe I was allowed to show that much anger in a healthy way, for sure. But I don't believe I could show anger at all. I believe I had to suppress my anger. And because I suppressed it, it came out in unexpected ways. It came out in non-processed ways. It came out in tantrums. It came out in just looking like a child. And this is in a grown man standpoint at that too. So that emotion is something that I hide from. I say that. I can honestly say that about myself, that I've hidden from is certainly that of anger. Now, another emotion that I'd say that I've hidden from, and I'm probably going to bounce back to the anger at some point, but the emotion of joy, right? Joy, allowing yourself to feel happy about something, and that was taught very early on, and I would say that's probably middle school shit, you know, coming from our area, living in Suffolk, going to school, trying to be happy probably could get you beat up certain times, you know what I mean? So there was a lot of acting cool, too cool to show that you appreciate something. And it's common in teenagers, I believe. Just I know with a lot of stuff that we did. Now, if we was around like I don't know, just ourselves and stuff, like, it depends. It really all depends on who it was. But if you had that one kid, you know, that really didn't get much from their parents, and you came around them with joy, they would get insecure. They would feel some type of way about you showing your happiness, about you showing that you have two parents, or whatever the insecurity would be for that kid at that time. And what I learned was that I kept that when I would go home, you know, and I remember trying to act too cool for the stuff that, you know, my parents would give me, and they were things that I actually wanted too, you know, but to act just like, you know, it's cool, you know what I mean, instead of showing such joy on certain things. And that's the trauma response, obviously, and trying to fit in, and a list of a whole bunch of shit that I took on instead of showing my appreciation for the material things that my parents were fortunate enough to give me. And I could say that, man, like, a lot of the material things that I wanted, I certainly received, man. And that's testament to how hard my parents worked, and other parents worked to ensure that we got the things that, you know, we thought we wanted at the time. You know, I mean, there's other things, obviously, that definitely we would have benefited more from if we focused more on that. But I think any parent, you know, I believe any parent does that, though, you know, that are not aware, especially when it comes to like emotion. And that's another thing, is just hiding emotion and hiding that, you know, happiness, showing that you have a love for something. And when you do that, what that does is it gets processed in so many ways, and you find yourself like pushing it away. Like, you're afraid to feel happiness because you believe it's going to be taken away. And not just with relationships, you know, not just with like relationships, just anytime you enjoy something, you believe that life is just going to take it away. And we don't realize how powerful our thoughts are, because we become what we think about. So if we're thinking about things being taken away from us, more than likely we're going to bring that energy to fester into our lives and all of that. But we can also just be appreciative and grateful for what we have. I mean, nothing belongs to us. Number one, nothing belongs to us in this life. So because we own nothing, we can appreciate everything, you know? So life is, life is life, right? Life is life. So anger, joy, sadness, sometimes it depends. If you look like you didn't appreciate anything, you wasn't able to show sadness. Crying, like that. Like, crying was not something that was well received, not by a man, you know, not by a boy. doing that, showing that you've just had enough, and you just crying made you look weak, appear weak. So there's that. So sadness, anger, joy. So what other options do you have? You know, at that point? And it was trying to mask yourself, trying to be stoic, not allowing yourself to feel anything, and for what, and for why, and that's what it took me a while to understand. Now, I even still to this day, right, there's a combination of such, because I won't necessarily show myself being like a little kid, just extremely happy, like, you know, my dog came home type thing. But I can show my appreciation for something that someone has done. I have had to learn how to show joy in a masculine way, and without feeling like I'm pushing something away. And that's another thing, you know, as far as like emotion, hell, even love, you know, pushing that away, and not knowing why. I mean, you don't even recognize that you're doing it, but it's just fear, because you've never felt like you've had that steady form of love, you know, that was consistent. So it's like, all right, if I don't allow myself to get there, it won't hurt as much. It's the concept, right? But not allowing yourself to feel is it's detrimental. It's detrimental to your mental by doing so. And obviously this is something you learn just by going through. This is something you learn from going to therapy. These are things you just learn about yourself, about the emotions that you were allowed to feel and hidden, you know, the emotions that I hide from the most. So I think I just named them, but joy. I know I'm more receptive to joy now than I was before, because I give credit to like God, the universe, for a lot of the things that come into my life. And you know, I just don't I know that it's not me pulling the reins on a lot of this stuff. You know, my thoughts, sure, we can give it that much, but as far as like the protection and the ways that I have been covered in the last few years is astounding to me. So I do my best to show gratitude. That's my way of showing joy. I show gratitude for things, and you know, I say that I'm grateful for these things. I'm grateful for these people. I'm grateful for just life itself, ability to breathe, ability to have air. And so I've been more receptive to joy. Anger, now I have a different understanding of anger. Anger is now being approached with silence. So when I do feel anger inside, I recognize where it comes from. And a perspective that was given to me by Thich Nhat Hanh, God rest his soul, was that anger is the wounded inner child. So it's a part of you from childhood who did not feel seen, heard, and loved. And it's like, how do I go about allowing my childhood side to feel seen, heard, and loved without projecting that out to my peers and making them responsible for my happiness? So it's learning to listen to the soul, learn to listen to what's going on inside, and not make anyone be responsible for that task of being happy, because no one can make you happy. They can compliment your happiness, but they're not able to make you happy. And then sadness I've learned to embrace, but I do my best to not dwell on it. But when it does happen, like if somebody offends, if I feel something, it's up to me to decide what gets to me. I choose to be offended by whatever it is that I'm finding to be offensive. So I look at sadness differently based on what I've been taught in Stoicism. So I don't necessarily allow myself just to wallow around waiting for somebody to save me like I used to. And I do believe just how things are taught in the church, that somebody's coming to save you, this type of thing. It's a mindset. And I'm not saying that to believe that Jesus is not coming back to save his followers. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about like the mindset that is kind of intentionally or unintentionally pushed in the church, where you're to rely upon a person, a thing, of something to come and save you, instead of you being your own savior, you know. And from like things here on earth, we're not speaking from a spiritual sense, but things here on earth, believing that somebody's coming to save you and all you got to do is just endure. I don't believe that's how that works. I believe what also is said in the Bible, faith without work is dead. So putting forth that work and allowing God and the universe to meet you on, and, you know, halfway with that, but you got to do your part, and, you know, putting forth that effort. So sadness, right? Sadness is something that I've learned to kind of dissect a little bit more before I allow myself to ask myself, am I really sad? And if I do feel a certain way, I just allow myself to feel, because I'm human. But yeah, so joy, anger, sadness. Yeah, I've allowed myself to kind of to learn how to feel those things in a little bit more conducive way for me, and as far as like how I want to carry myself. And it's not been easy. It's not. Find myself triggered at some times, and when I'm triggered, I'm no longer the adult now. Now I'm back in the past, and it's like it can be hell sometimes trying to pull yourself out of there, but it is not impossible. It's challenging, but it's not impossible. But yeah, I mean, I can think those to me, those three emotions are the three emotions that I probably hid from the most in my life, throughout my life, and learning, and again explaining how I've learned to kind of incorporate those a little bit more in a healthier way that doesn't leave me looking like a child throwing a tantrum or projecting myself onto others. That's the end of this one, man. That's the end of this show. And I want to thank everybody for kicking it with me throughout this episode. Be sure to share on your timelines. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe when it comes across your timeline. Don't take but a couple seconds, but I also understand if you don't want to do so, but it will help out the algorithm a little bit. But thank everybody for watching the show, following the show, listening to the show, critiquing the show, liking the show, disliking the show, whatever it is that has you keeping this show in your mouth. That's what she said. And ensuring that we keep this thing rolling, the process of healing, and just starting the conversation, not to prove anybody wrong, not to prove anybody right, but to just start a conversation of being involved with like mental health, spirituality, sex, life, relationships, dating, all that shit, everything that we discuss on here. But I am Romy Mac. I appreciate you guys. This is Ask Rome, and I'm out. Good night, kids.